Once upon a time, deep in the heart of the earth, there lay a vast and ancient jungle called Vanvasi. It was a place where the trees whispered secrets to the wind, rivers sang lullabies, and animals lived together in harmony. The jungle was ruled not by a king or queen, but by nature herself, who made sure that everything remained balanced. In this jungle lived many animals: majestic elephants, mischievous monkeys, wise old owls, proud peacocks, stealthy leopards, and kind deer. Among them was a young lion named Simba. Simba was strong and brave, but he had one flaw: he was proud. He believed that strength alone made someone a great leader. One day, Simba gathered all the animals and roared, "Why should we live under the laws of nature? I'm the strongest among you. I should be the king of the jungle." The animals were shocked. The wise old owl, Alibaba, fluttered down and said, "Simba, strength is not enough. A leader must be wise, just, and kind." But Simba laughed. "What good is wisdom if you cannot fight? From now on, I will make the rules. Whoever disobeys me will face my wrath." Fear spread through the jungle. Simba began acting like a tyrant. He ordered the monkeys to gather him fruits, the deer to sing for him every morning, and the birds to build him nests. No one dared to oppose him. One day, a terrible drought struck Vanvasi. The rivers dried up, trees withered, and food became scarce. The jungle, once lush and green, turned brown and silent. The animals gathered and approached Simba. The elephant spoke, "Simba, we must come together and dig a waterhole. If we work together, we can survive." Simba growled, "Why should I dig? I am your king. You do the work, I will supervise." Despite Simba's selfishness, the animals began digging. Days turned into weeks, and the animals grew weak with hunger and thirst. But still, Simba did nothing. Then came a day when even Simba could not ignore his thirst. He went to the water hole, but it was nearly empty. The little water left was guarded by the tired but determined animals. "You cannot drink yet," said the deer. "You did not help us dig." Simba was furious, but his strength had faded. He collapsed by the water hole, exhausted and ashamed. Ali Baba flew down and said gently, "Simba, now, do you see? True strength is not in muscle, but in unity. The jungle lives because all of us work together, not because one rules the rest."
एक दराज के अंदर दो मोबाइल रखे थे। पहला था राजू मोबाइल। पुराना फोन था, बटन वाला। स्क्रीन टूटा हुआ था, बैटरी टैप से चिपकी हुई थी। दूसरा था टीना स्मार्टफोन। नया फोन था, बड़ा स्क्रीन, चमकदार कवर, और उसमें कैमरा भी दो थे। टीना बोली, "अरे राजू अंकल, आप तो बहुत पुराने लगते हो। ये टेप क्यों लगाई है?" राजू ने जवाब दिया, "बेटा, ये टेप मेरी उम्र का निशान है। मैं पुराना जरूर हूं, पर अब भी काम करता हूं।" टीना हंसते हुए बोली, "आपकी बैटरी तो 2 मिनट में खत्म हो जाती होगी।" राजू बोला, "नहीं बेटा, मैं एक बार चार्ज होकर 5 दिन चलता था। तुम्हें तो दिन में 2 बार चार्ज चाहिए।" टीना बोली, "अब लोग कैमरा, गेम और इंटरनेट सब फोन में चाहते हैं। आप तो बस कॉल करते होंगे।" राजू ने कहा, "सच है, पर मैं उस जमाने का हूं जब लोग बातें करते थे, न कि स्क्रीन में घुसे रहते थे।" टीना थोड़ी शांत हुई, फिर बोली, "अच्छा अंकल, क्या आपने कभी सेल्फी ली?" राजू हंसकर बोला, "हमारे टाइम में सेल्फी नहीं, फोटो स्टूडियो होता था।" दोनों हंस पड़े। फिर टीना की बैटरी खत्म होने लगी। टीना चिल्लाई, "ओह नो, मेरी बैटरी 5% है। कोई चार्जर दो।" राजू बोला, "मेरे पास है, पर मेरा चार्जर तुम पर फिट नहीं होगा।" टीना बोली। हाँ, आपका चार्जर तो बहुत मोटा और पुराना है। फिर दोनों जोर जोर से हंसने लगे। दराज के अंदर हंसी गूंजती रही। पुराना राजू और नया टीना अब अच्छे दोस्त बन चुके थे। कहानी समाप्त।
One sunny morning in the village of Chandipur, two curious siblings, Riyad 7 and Arav 9, were excited for a family picnic near the jungle. Ria wore a yellow polka dotted dress with pink ribbons in her ponytails. Arav, in a blue dinosaur t shirt and green cap, packed his binoculars ready for adventure. At the picnic spot, their parents laid out food beside the forest edge. After lunch, Ria spotted a bright butterfly. Let's follow it, she said. Arav agreed, and they chased it into the woods. They ran and laughed, following the butterflies deeper into the forest. But when they stopped to catch their breath, they realized they were lost. The picnic spot was gone. Trees surrounded them, tall and unfamiliar. I think we're lost, Ria whispered. Don't worry, we'll find our way back, Arav said bravely. They walked until they heard the gentle sound of a stream. Beside it stood a deer, sipping water. Its eyes were soft and kind. Excuse me, Ria said. We're lost. Can you help us? The deer nodded. Follow the golden path of fallen leaves. But beware the muddy pit near the big banyan tree. Thank you, Arav said. As they followed the golden trail, a green parrot with red feathers flew down and landed on a branch. Lost are you, Squawk, the parrot said. Climb the hill with the mango tree. From there, you'll see a red flag. That's where your parents are. Thank you, they both said. They hurried toward the hill, but halfway up, Ria slipped and fell. Oh, my ankle, she cried. Arav knelt beside her, worried. Suddenly, they heard a soft thump. From behind the trees appeared a gentle elephant. Don't be afraid, the elephant said. Let me help. With his trunk, he gently lifted Ria onto his back. Arav walked beside them, holding her hand. The elephant said, kindness leads the way in this jungle. At the top of the hill, they saw it, a red flag waving near the clearing. There it is, Ria shouted. The elephant carefully set her down. My part ends here, he said, smiling. They waved goodbye and followed the trail back to the clearing. Ria, Arav, their parents cried, rushing to hug them. We got lost, Arav said, but the animals helped us. The deer guided us. The parrot showed the way. And the elephant carried me, Ria added. Their parents smiled, tears in their eyes. You were brave, and very lucky. That night, under the stars, Ria whispered, the jungle isn't scary. It's kind. Arav nodded. Kindness is its own power.
Once upon a time, in the quirky town of Wobble Bottom, lived Ernest and Dahlia, two souls caught in the hilarious whirlwind of love struggle. Ernest was a hopeless romantic with a penchant for writing absurd poetry, while Dahlia was a fierce pragmatist with a love for sarcasm. They met in the most unlikely of places, the House of Odd Socks, a local shop renowned for selling mismatched hosiery that had gained an eccentric reputation. Ernest was there, attempting to woo socks into pairs with his lyrical serenades, much to the amusement of the shopkeeper. Dahlia, on the other hand, was seeking out socks so mismatched they defied conventional sock wisdom. As she watched Ernest recite to a particularly stubborn polka pair, she chuckled. You do realize they can't hear you, right? She quipped, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Ernest, clueless about sarcasm but thrilled to find an audience, replied earnestly, Oh, but magic. You never know. Thus began their topsy-turvy courtship, a series of delightful misunderstandings and comedic twists enough to give Shakespeare a run for his pen. On their first date, Ernest brought a bunch of dandelions, which he mistook for wild sunflowers. Dahlia, not wanting to break his spirit, accepted them graciously and filled his ears with tales of how dandelions are the flowers of warriors. Every conversation was an Olympic sport of romantic idealism versus harsh realism. Ernest dreamed of picnics in a meadow lit by fireflies, while Dahlia envisioned takeaway kebab amidst bargain shopping. Despite their differences, they'd often find themselves laughing. They debated with vivid enthusiasm over matters as trivial as the correct way to pronounce croissant. Then came the day of the Grand Sock Festival of Wobble Bottom, an event Ernest believed completely in, while Dahlia deemed it as folklore. Ernest, determined to make Dahlia believe in the magic he'd always cherished, entered the legendary sock pairing contest. In a not-so-dramatic twist, neither Ernest nor Dahlia won. The most unlikely pair, a llama-patterned sock with a flamingo, took the prize amidst chaos. As they watched the shenanigan unfold, Dahlia whispered with mock seriousness, "Perhaps some socks were never meant to match," leaving Ernest befuddled yet joyful. Thus, Ernest and Dahlia realized that their love struggle was less about overcoming differences. It was more about embracing them. Together, they danced through life's unpredictability, merrily savoring each mismatched moment. From then on, the duo would forever be known as Wobble Bottom's perfectly mismatched pair, and their love continued to flourish. Amidst the town's continual oddities, they made magic out of socks that never quite matched.
Whiskers was not a kitten, but a small puppy with an identity crisis. His owners, the eccentric Plunketts, always wanted a cat, but instead ended up adopting the fluffiest puppy their eyes ever met. The Plunketts loved Whiskers all the same, but truth be told, they often treated him like a cat. Whiskers was encouraged to nap in sunny spots, given scratching posts, and was even subjected to laser pointer chasing sessions. The real misadventures began on one fateful Monday morning. Mrs. Plunkett, in a rush to get to her yoga class, accidentally locked Whiskers outside. It was his first unsupervised adventure in the vast and mysterious world. Whiskers, determined to prove his puppyhood courage, trotted excitedly down the street. He marveled at the wonders through puppy eyes as he encountered his first pigeon, a surprising fellow named Gerald. Gerald, being an astute city bird, scoffed, "Whiskers, if you're a cat, I'm a flamingo." Our small hero moved on, undeterred, and found himself in the park. Here, a group of small birds, evidently pranksters, tried to convince Whiskers he could climb trees just like a cat. He attempted to scale the smallest oak, but gravity had its own unswayable ideas. As a result, he was found by a bemused pair of joggers who alerted the park ranger. The park ranger, Mr. Haggerty, recognized Whiskers from the missing puppy posters adorning the lampposts in the vicinity. With a warming chuckle, he scooped up the perplexed pooch and returned him safely to the Plunkett residence. Upon his return, Mrs. Plunkett showered him with love and announced, "We're getting you a puppy-sized collar that simply says dog." And so Whiskers, the puppy with the heart of a lion and the mischief of a kitten, settled back into his sunny spot, content in the knowledge that he was exactly what he was meant to be, a beloved, albeit occasionally confused, part of the Plunkett family.
Once upon a time, in the quaint village of Whimsy on the Wold, there lived two prominent families. The Snodgrass family, known for their unparalleled pumpkin-growing skills, and the Muddlers, famous for their perpetually muddy boots. Emmeline Snodgrass had a reputation for being as stubborn as her pumpkins were large. She insisted she would only marry a man who could perfectly balance a pumpkin on his head for an hour. Many suitors had tried, but failed spectacularly, much to Emmeline's amusement. Henry Muddler, on the other hand, had never quite mastered the art of walking on solid ground without leaving a trail of mud behind him. He had secretly loved Emmeline from afar, but feared her heart was as tough as her standards. One sunny Saturday, the village fair was in full swing, and Emmeline's pumpkins were on display like prize jewels. Henry, having spent the morning accidentally splashing mud on anyone within a mile radius, gathered his courage and approached Emmeline. "Miss Snodgrass," he said, "try to rub the mud off his hands, unsuccessfully. Might I attempt your pumpkin challenge?" Emmeline, intrigued but skeptical, waved her hand towards the largest, most balanced pumpkin. Henry placed the pumpkin gingerly on his head and stood there, muddy boots rooted to the ground. An hour passed, and while Henry turned several shades of beetroot from the effort, the pumpkin remained majestically perched. The villagers had gathered to witness either history or a hilarious mishap. Instead, they saw the beginning of Whimsy on the Wold's most peculiar love story. Emmeline praised Henry's extraordinary balance and claimed him worthy of her affection. As everyone applauded the delightful duo, a hefty fellow named Bertie joked, "Fancy that! Henry's got a head for pumpkins." As Emmeline accepted Henry's hand, she whispered, "I think you'll find I fancy a man with mud on his boots. Might we grow pumpkins together?" Henry nodded, grinning ear to ear, for he suddenly realized that he could grow both pumpkins and love in her sunny orchard. And so, Emmeline and Henry became inseparable. Their union celebrated each year with a special pumpkin contest at the fair. Eventually, they taught their children the joyous art of balancing pumpkins and, for good measure, mud patch play. In Whimsy on the Wold, they became a legend known as the Pumpkin Muddlers, combining pumpkins, mud, and love into a heartwarming story. In the bustling village of Chitrakoot lived a wise old merchant named Ramnarayan. Known for his cunning wit and sharp intellect, Ramnarayan had seen his fair share of tricksters hoping to swindle him out of his earnings. One lazy afternoon, as Ramnarayan sat sipping his tea, a young man named Kailash swaggered into his shop. Kailash was infamous among the villagers for his less than honest dealings and more than puffed up ego. He boasted to whoever would listen that he could outsmart anyone. That day, he had set his sights on Ramnarayan. "Good afternoon, respected sir." Kailash started, sliding into the shop with a sly grin. "I hear you're quite the shrewd businessman." Ramnarayan chuckled, intrigued by the young man's audacity and confidence. "Very well. State your riddle." From that day, he learnt that arrogance could be a downfall, and that wisdom, not trickery, was the true path to respect. Ramnarayan, watching him leave with a lighter heart and heavier pocket, smiled. He knew yet another cheeky trickster had learned the value of integrity. And thus, in Chitrakoot, the tale of the wise merchant and the headstrong youth became a story of humility and honor that was recited at every village gathering, a legacy both remembered and respected.
In the bustling world of insects, there was once an ant named Alfred. Alfred wasn't just any ant. He took meticulous care in everything, from counting crumbs to ensuring the precision of his trail markings. He had a hearty laugh that resonated throughout the colony, like the buzzing of 500 fiddles at once. One summer's day, after a hectic morning of foraging, Alfred the ant was returning to the colony laden with a particularly large crumb of biscuit. As he marched along the path, his antennae twitching in rhythm with his jaunty strides, he encountered Gregory, a grasshopper. Gregory, as usual, was lounging atop a blade of grass, strumming his guitar made from a dandelion stem and gooseberry strings. He wore a jaunty leaf hat, and had a devil-may-care attitude that charmed but also perplexed the hard-working ant. "Hey Alfred," chirped Gregory. "Why don't you drop that heavy crumb and join me in a song? The sun's shining, the sky's blue, and music is the food of love," he declared, strumming a particularly enthusiastic melody. Alfred paused, adjusting the crumb on his back. "Oh, Gregory," he sighed, a hint of amusement in his tiny voice. "We ants have work to do. We must prepare for the times when the sun isn't so kind, and the sky's not so blue. Why don't you do the same?" Gregory chuckled, playing an upbeat tune. "Why worry about winter? It's ages away." The days rolled on. Autumn arrived, painting the leaves golden and setting the sky ablaze with crimson hues. Then came the biting cold of winter. Snow had blanketed the land, and food was scarce. But deep in the ant colony, it was business as usual. Everything was meticulously stored, thanks to ants like Alfred. One frosty evening, a shivering, much less composed Gregory approached the entrance to the ant colony. "Alfred," he called out, his voice trembling like a bird on a cold branch. "If you don't mind, could you spare some food? I seem to have misplaced all mine in all that music making. Alfred, though amused, couldn't help but feel a tad sorry for the grasshopper. Come on in, Gregory, old chap, he said heartily. We've room at the table and plenty to share. But maybe next time, a little less strumming, and a bit more storing, And so, Gregory learnt a valuable lesson about preparation and foresight. From that winter on, Gregory played his jaunty tunes in the summer, but balanced his music with a touch of forward planning, ensuring he'd never go hungry again. The moral of the story: there's a time for work and a time for play, but even the jolliest music maker must plan for a rainy day.
एक बार की बात है, हरे भरे जंगल में एक नन्हा हाथी खेल रहा था। वह बहुत खुश था। कभी फूलों को सूंड से उड़ाता, कभी तितलियों के पीछे दौड़ता। खेलते खेलते वह नदी के किनारे पहुंच गया। अचानक उसका पैर फिसला और वह नदी में गिर गया। पानी बहुत तेज था। वह डर गया और जोर जोर से चिल्लाने लगा, मदद करो, मदद करो। आसमान में उड़ते हुए हनुमान जी को उसकी आवाज सुनाई दी। उन्होंने तुरंत नीचे देखा और बिना समय गवाए वहां पहुंच गए। हनुमान जी ने देखा कि नन्हे हाथी को एक सांप लपेट रहा है। उन्होंने झट से सांप को पकड़ा और दूर फेंक दिया। फिर नन्हे हाथी को अपनी गोद में उठाकर नदी से बाहर निकाल लाए। जैसे ही वे बाहर आए, तभी एक बड़ा मगरमच्छ नदी से निकलकर उन पर हमला करने दौड़ा। मगर हनुमान जी ने अपनी गदा से जोर का प्रहार किया और मगरमच्छ डरकर भाग गया। नन्हा हाथी अब सुरक्षित था। वह बहुत खुश हुआ और हनुमान जी के गले लग गया। हनुमान जी मुस्कुराए और बोले, अब कभी अकेले मत घूमना। हनुमान जी ने हाथी को उसके परिवार के पास छोड़ दिया। सबने हनुमान जी को धन्यवाद कहा। जंगल में फिर से खुशी लौट आई।
In the shadow of the jagged Iron Mountains, King Eric ruled the fractured kingdom of Valthorn. His crown, forged from the bones of a fallen dragon, weighed heavier each day. Valthorn was crumbling, its fields barren from drought, its people starving, and its borders harried by raiders from the wastes. Eric, once a warrior of unmatched valor, now faced a foe no sword could slay: despair. Eric's struggle began the day the rain stopped, 3 years prior. The rivers dwindled, and crops withered under a merciless sun. His council bickered. Some urged war to seize fertile lands. Others whispered of ancient rituals to appease forgotten gods. Eric, torn between action and wisdom, trusted neither. His nights were sleepless, haunted by visions of his father, King Torin, whose iron rule had united Valthorn. Lead with strength, Torin's ghost seemed to growl, but strength alone could not fill empty bellies. The people's faith frayed. In the capital square, a woman named Lisa, gaunt and fierce, spat at Eric's feet during a public address. "You sit on a throne while we choke on dust," she cried. Her words cut deeper than any blade. Eric ordered her spared, though his guards urged punishment. He saw his own shame in her hollow eyes. Raiders struck next, exploiting Valthorn's weakness. Eric led a force to repel them, but the battles drained his already thinning resources. His best friend, General Kalen, fell to a poisoned arrow, his last words a plea: "Save them, Eric. Not the crown, the people." The loss shattered him. He returned to a palace of echoes, his wife, Queen Elira, distant, grieving their stillborn son from the year before. Desperate, Eric sought the oracle of the Black Crag, a recluse said to speak with the earth itself. The journey was perilous, through wolf-haunted forests and crumbling cliffs. The oracle, a withered figure cloaked in moss, offered no comfort. "The land mirrors its king," she rasped. "Heal your heart, or Valthorn dies with you."
On the edge of a quiet town, nestled beside a sleepy forest, lived 2 curious siblings, Maya aged 9 and her younger brother Ravi aged 7. They were best friends, adventure seekers, and expert secret keepers. One sunny afternoon, While their parents napped and the birds sang softly, Maya tugged Ravi's sleeve. "Let's go into the forest," she whispered. "Just for a little while. I think I saw something strange near the big oak yesterday." Ravi hesitated, clutching his toy dinosaur. "What if we get lost?" "We won't," Maya said confidently. "We'll leave a trail of sunflower seeds, like breadcrumbs." And so they tiptoed into the woods, the air cool and rich with the scent of pine. Sunlight filtered through the trees like golden ribbons. They followed the narrow path until they came to the ancient oak tree, tall, wide, and gnarled with age. But today something was different. Hidden behind a curtain of vines, they spotted a wooden ladder nailed to the trunk. They looked up and gasped. A treehouse. Not just any treehouse, but one with painted windows, a little rope bridge, and a flag flapping at the top. "Let's go up," Maya said, eyes sparkling. Ravi clutched her hand tightly, but nodded. Step by careful step, they climbed the ladder. When they reached the top, they found a door with a sign that read, "Only the brave may enter." Inside, the treehouse was magical. Maps lined the walls. There was a telescope poking out the window, and a chest full of old books and shiny stones. In the center was a small note. "This is the Secret Explorer Clubhouse." The note continued, "If you find this place, you are now members. Your first mission, find the silver feather hidden in the Whispering Grove." Maya and Ravi looked at each other, wide-eyed. "A real mission?" Ravi whispered. Maya grinned. "Let's do it." They spent the whole afternoon exploring the forest, searching for clues, whispering passwords to birds, and finally discovering a shining silver feather tucked inside a hollow tree, just as the sun began to set. When they returned to the treehouse, they placed the feather in the chest and sat together, watching the sky turn orange and purple. "We're real explorers now," Ravi said sleepily. "Yes," Maya said, wrapping an arm around him. As stars twinkled above, the treehouse stood tall and proud, ready for the next adventure of its newest brave members.
Once upon a time, in a kingdom ruled by the eccentric King Percival the persistently confused, there was an event that would shape the future of the realm. King Percival had an extraordinary collection of thrones. Every time he sat down for breakfast, it was on the breakfast throne, a majestic chair adorned with bacon motifs and syrupy armrests. One day, King Percival was facing a perplexing problem. He had misplaced the official royal throne, the one used for important decisions like whether to invade neighboring kingdoms or what color the palace curtain should be. The kingdom was in a state of mild panic. Attention was required, matters needed resolution, and King Percival was wandering around, trying to remember where he might have left it. The citizens gossiped furiously. "Did you hear the king is even more confused today? What's next? He loses the crown?" Laughed Gregory the stable boy, as he tried to calm a hiccupy pony. Betty the baker was more sympathetic. "Let the poor man be. Maybe he misplaced it in the throne room," she suggested, handing out complimentary crumpets to worried peasants. Meanwhile, the king decided to enlist the help of his trusty court jester, Jeremy the jokester, who was known for solving puzzles while making everyone giggle at the same time. "Sire," Jeremy began, "what do you get when you cross a misplaced throne and a monarch with a memory like a mystical sieve?" "I don't know," replied the king. "What do I get?" "A royal pain in a majestic backside." Jeremy chortled before darting off to investigate with his never-failing jesterly intuition. After much searching, including turning over every chair in the palace, interrogating the kitchens, and even checking amongst dusty scrolls in the library, Jeremy had a revelation. He found the throne being used as a particularly lavish planter for Lady Gertrude's notorious rose garden, conveniently doubling as a resting spot on her long spritz sessions. "Your Majesty, the throne's caught in a flowery fiasco," Jeremy announced, leading the king to the misplaced seat. "Well, roses are truly confusing," King Percival murmured admiringly. "But fear not, Jeremy, for I decree today that all gardening shall be done mirthfully." Thus, the official royal throne was restored to its rightful place, and King Percival could finally decide on the curtain colors. He chose a daring mauve, much to the broad approval of his subjects. Lady Gertrude got to keep the roses flowing by decree, and Jeremy the jokester received a special throne honor for his service, a quirky chair adorned with bells and a cushion embroidered with jokes. And peace, humorous and whimsical, returned to the kingdom once more.
मुंबई के एक रंग-बिरंगे स्कूल में छोटे-छोटे बॉलीवुड सितारे पढ़ने आते थे। यह स्कूल था छोटा सितारा प्ले स्कूल। यहाँ शाहरुख, करीना, सलमान, आलिया, रणवीर, दीपिका, आमिर, कैटरीना, प्रियंका और ऋतिक जैसे बच्चे एक साथ पढ़ते थे। सुबह होते ही बच्चे आते। शाहरुख हाथ फैलाकर आते और गिर जाते। करीना चश्मा लगाकर कहती, उफ़, कितना ड्रामा। सलमान तिपहिया साइकिल पर स्टाइल में आता और कहता, भाईजान आ गया। क्लास में टीचर बच्चों से पूछती कि बड़े होकर क्या बनना है। रणवीर कहता, मैं तो हर जगह डांस करूंगा। आलिया कहती, मैं राजकुमारी बनूंगी या डॉक्टर। शायद दोनों। दीपिका मुस्कुरा कर कहती, मुझे सिर्फ शांति चाहिए और एक ताज। खाने के समय आमिर बोलते, इसमें प्रोटीन नहीं है। कैटरीना हंसती और कहती, चलो डांस करते हैं। ऋतिक चम्मच घुमाते हुए बोलते, स्लो मोशन में सब अच्छा लगता है। खेलने के समय शाहरुख और सलमान झूले को लेकर बहस करते। दोनों ही हीरो बनना चाहते थे। प्रियंका घोड़े पर आती और मिठाई देकर सबको चुप कराती। दिन के अंत में सब बच्चे अपने अपने बिस्तर में सो जाते। करण टेडी बियर लेकर कहता, मैं एक दिन फिल्म बनाऊंगा हम सब पर। और फिर सब नन्हे सितारे सपनों में चले जाते। कोई अवार्ड जीत रहा था, कोई डांस कर रहा था, कोई झूला झूल रहा था। सीख, हर बड़ा हीरो एक बार छोटा बच्चा था, शरारती, प्यारा और सपनों से भरा हुआ।
One day, King Krishnamaya was in a terrible mood. His favorite ruby necklace had gone missing from the royal treasury. The guards had searched the entire palace but found no trace of the jewels. The king summoned his ministers and asked, who could have stolen my necklace? One minister whispered, Your Majesty, only someone with access to the treasury could have taken it. Perhaps it was an insider. Another minister added, The treasurer, Sridhar, has the keys. Maybe he is involved. Sridhar, an honest man, fell at the king's feet. My lord, I swear I did not take the jewels. I have served you faithfully for years. The king was unsure. Just then, Tenali Raman stepped forward. Your Majesty, before accusing anyone, let me investigate. The king agreed. Tenali went to the treasury and examined the lock. He noticed tiny scratches near the keyhole. Then, he walked around the palace, observing the servants and guards. That evening, Tenali saw a maid, Lakshmi, feeding bread to a parrot in the garden. The parrot pecked at the bread, but Lakshmi seemed impatient. Tenali smiled. The next morning, he announced, Your Majesty, I have set a trap. The thief will be caught by noon. He placed a golden box in the courtyard and declared, This is a magical box. If the thief touches it, it will ring loudly. All the palace staff were asked to line up and touch the box one by one. Nothing happened. Then Tenali said, Now, everyone must show their hands. As he inspected each person's hands, he stopped at Lakshmi. Here's our thief. Lakshmi protested, but the box didn't ring. Tenali laughed. The box wasn't magical, but I coated it with a sticky powder. Only the thief wouldn't touch it, fearing the magic. Your hands are clean, but everyone else's are dusty. Lakshmi turned pale and confessed. She had trained her parrot to steal small, shiny objects, including the king's necklace.
Once upon a time in the lush land of Jungle Hala, where the trees sang melodies that could put any nightingale to shame, lived Percy the parrot. Percy was a chatty fellow, known for squawking all the juicy rumors about everyone in the jungle. One sunlit morning, Percy fluttered to the bustling jungle Hala Street, where he perched on a branch outside Theodore the tortoise's house. Theodore was the wisest in the jungle, but notably the slowest in both walking and talking. Percy, with his feathers all aflutter with mischief, exclaimed to the passers-by, "Did you hear? Theodore is so old. He actually saw when the jungle Hala River was just a puddle." Nearby, Eliza the elephant snorted, "Percy, even the stones know that's nonsense." The parrot, undeterred, hopped around the trees, spreading even sillier tales. "Oh, did you hear? Theodore's so slow. He took a whole year just to blink his eyes once." Later that day, the jungle was buzzing with Percy's wild stories. That's when Theodore emerged from his house, taking his sweet, deliberate time. Percy swooped down, asking, "Oh, wise Theodore, what do you have to say about this ludicrous propaganda?" Theodore looked up with a slow, kind smile. "Percy, did I ever tell you the story about the parrot who could talk but never listen?" Percy puffed up with pride. "Not yet. Should I spread it as well?" "Well," said Theodore, "there was this parrot who spread so many tales, the jungle grew tired of his chatter. One day, he stumbled upon a pond and saw his reflection. Only then did it occur to him that the stories he spread were larger than life, much like his reflection, exaggerated by the ripples. But by the time he stopped squawking, everyone had learnt to ignore him." The jungle fell silent. Percy flapped his wings nervously. "Well, maybe I could fix this by telling everyone the real truth," he screeched. Theodore nodded wisely. "Stories are like the wind, Percy. Once out, they can't be caught again. But you can certainly try to warm the hearts you've chilled." Thus, Percy thereby spent the rest of the week talking about the genuine virtues of everyone in Jungle Hala, and his chatter turned into chants of cheer. And so, Percy learned that while a parrot may be able to talk, it's much wiser sometimes just to listen. And everyone lived sweetly ever after, especially Theodore, when Percy was quiet.
In the quaint town of Malgudi, the railway station buzzes with the usual chaotic harmony every morning. Shankaran, the diligent ticket clerk, dons his blue uniform and, true to his reputation, is seated at the ticket window sharp at 8 a.m. Known throughout Malgudi for his punctuality, Shankaran is a man of unwavering discipline, having never missed a day in his 30-year career. But today something tugs at him. His wife, Lakshmi Amma, has been under the weather since last night. The doctor had insisted she needed rest and someone to look after her. Should I really take a day off? Shankaran muttered to himself, feeling a pang of anxiety. Just then, Raju, the 12-year-old mischief maker and son of the station master, sprang into the scene, ever ready to tease Shankaran. "What's the matter, uncle? Feeling moody today, huh? Got my ticket ready." Shankaran shot him a withering glare before wordlessly handing over the ticket. Still simmering inside, he made his way to the station master's room. "Sir, my wife is unwell," he said hesitantly. "Could I perhaps take the day off?" The station master, removing his glasses, replied, "Well, Shankaran, you've never taken a day off. I'll ask Mohan to man the ticket window. Go on, attend to your wife." Shankaran, grateful, stepped out of the station in the broad daylight, perhaps for the first time in decades. However, chaos ensued in his absence. Mohan struggled with the ticket system. Irate passengers grew louder, and Raju, cheeky as ever, attempted his hand at issuing fake tickets. Rushing back to the window, Shankaran restored order amid sighs of relief. "I thought I could manage a day without the station," he chuckled. "Seems like the station can't manage a day without me." In the evening, he returned home to find Lakshmi Amma smiling. "This home feels incomplete without you," she said kindly. Bowing his head with a grin, Shankaran replied, "And the station does too." This essence of Malgudi lies in its ordinary folks like Shankaran, who perform their duties with earnest honesty and an unbreakable bond to their roles, as beautifully captured in the simplicity and warmth of this tale.
In einem kleinen Dorf lebte ein alter Mann, der für seine Weisheit bekannt war. Jeden Tag kamen die Dorfbewohner zu ihm, um Rat zu suchen. Eines Tages kam ein junger Mann zu ihm und fragte, wie kann ich ein glückliches Leben führen? Der alte Mann lächelte und sagte, das Geheimnis des Glücks liegt in der Dankbarkeit. Der junge Mann war verwirrt und fragte, wie kann Dankbarkeit mich glücklich machen? Der alte Mann antwortete, wenn du dankbar bist, siehst du die Schönheit in den kleinen Dingen des Lebens. Der junge Mann beschloss, den Rat des alten Mannes zu befolgen. Er begann, jeden Tag 3 Dinge aufzuschreiben, für die er dankbar war. Mit der Zeit bemerkte der junge Mann, dass er glücklicher und zufriedener wurde. Er erkannte, dass Dankbarkeit ihm half, die positiven Aspekte seines Lebens zu schätzen. Die Dorfbewohner bemerkten die Veränderung in dem jungen Mann und fragten ihn nach seinem Geheimnis. Er erzählte ihnen von der Weisheit des alten Mannes. Bald darauf begannen auch die anderen Dorfbewohner, Dankbarkeit in ihr Leben zu integrieren. Das Dorf wurde ein Ort des Glücks und der Zufriedenheit. Der alte Mann beobachtete die Veränderung im Dorf und war zufrieden, dass seine Worte so viel bewirkt hatten. Er wusste, dass Dankbarkeit der Schlüssel zu einem erfüllten Leben war.
Scene 1. The forest bulletin board in the middle of Wackywood Forest. A loud bell rings and animals rush to the forest bulletin board. Sally the squirrel, gasping dramatically, the pie contest is back. Winner gets a golden rolling pin and unlimited pie for a year. Ricky the raccoon, eyes glowing, that golden rolling pin belongs with me. I mean, in my museum of stolen treasures. Benny the bear, sniffing the poster, did someone say, pie? Scene 2. Chef Goose's Fortress Bakery. Chef Goose's Bakery is a heavily guarded fortress. Laser tripwires, alarmed ovens, and attack chickens. He's baking the legendary triple berry boom pie. Chef Goose, monologuing with intense background music, no one, and I mean no one, shall steal this pie. Not again. Flashback to Ricky trying to steal a cupcake and getting chased by 27 geese. Scene 3. The foolproof plan. Ricky pulls out a wildly complicated blueprint labeled Operation Pineapple Express. Ricky, here's the plan. Benny distracts the geese by pretending to be a pie delivery bear. Sally disables the laser system with acorns. I sneak in, grab the pie, and we ride away on rollerblades. Sally, why rollerblades? Ricky, because they're cool. Benny, already eating part of the blueprint, tastes like strawberries. Scene 2. Chef Goose's Fortress Bakery. Inside a bakery with laser beams and squawking guard geese, Chef Goose stirs a bubbling pie with dramatic flair. Chef Goose growling. No one steals my triple berry boom pie, not after last year. Flashback. Ricky fleeing a goose stampede. Step 3. Ricky rollerblades in, but his wheels catch fire. Ricky screaming, why did I use cheese wheels? Scene 5. Caught and cooked. The trio is cornered. Geese surround them. Chef Goose marches in dramatically, holding a ladle like a sword. Chef Goose, you fools. You tried to steal the sacred pie. Sally, pointing, technically Ricky tried. I just came for the dance lasers. Benny, sobbing, I just wanted a slice. Suddenly the pie explodes, the boom in triple berry boom pie, covering everyone in blueberries. Scene 6. The twist ending covered in pie, everyone freezes. Chef Goose takes a bite and gasps. This is better than I imagined. You fools accidentally added the perfect flavor. Burnt cheese wheels and trampoline rubber. Chef Goose, you win. Ricky, what? They get the golden rolling pin and are crowned Pie Legends of Wackywood. Benny, holding up the rolling pin, does this mean more pie? Final scene, Pie Party Mayhem. The forest celebrates. Pies rain from the sky, thanks to an out-of-control pie cannon. Sally turns the laser beams into a disco. Ricky builds a throne of stolen forks. Narrator. And so, our heroes proved that with bad planning, weird luck, and a lot of pie, anything is possible. One day, Coda again tires of school. He thinks, who wants to study so much? Maths, science, history of. Throwing his bag, he runs towards the forest. Upon reaching the jungle, he passes through a sparkling door to Gyanpur, a magical place where animals also study. Bunte Bala says, if you want to leave the jungle, answer my question. Question. If 5 monkeys eat 3 bananas a day, how many bananas will they eat in 7 days? Coda Gan thinks and quickly answers. 5 times 3 times 7 is equal to 105 bananas. Buntai happily gives him a math coin. Beachley Kamidar takes him to a laboratory. She explains, electricity can be made from water too. It's called hydro-energy. Wearing glasses, she shows Coda Gan how a small waterfall lights up a bulb. Coda Gan is amazed. Science is fun. He receives a science bulb token. Guru Vriksh speaks. Remember the race between the rabbit and the tortoise? Coda Gan thinks and answers. The tortoise won because he kept working steadily. Guru Vriksh smiles. You've learned that hard work and patience always win. He gets a leaf of truth. Meena Mayuri takes him to the 1857 revolution, where he sees Rani Lakshmibai. Meena asks, what did Rani Lakshmibai teach? Coda again says, courage and patriotism. He receives a feather of history. Gola Bandar shows him a map, explaining that India's different states have different cultures, but are all united. Coda Gan learns, unity is strength. He gets a unity garland. With all the knowledge tokens collected, a door opens and he is back at home. Now Coda Gan happily says, studies aren't a burden, they're exciting. I'll see every subject as a thrilling adventure from now on. Final message. Every subject is a key to a new world. Understand, play, and learn.
Gather the children in a bright room with a whiteboard or paper on the wall. Provide paint, crayons, or markers. The room is filled with music and decorations to excite imagination. Hello, little artists. Welcome to our magical world of colors. Today, we're going to discover how colors can change the world around us and how they can make things look happy, sad, hot, or cold. Are you ready for an adventure? Start by showing the children basic colors like red, blue, yellow, green, and explain their names. Use fun objects as examples, such as a blue balloon, a red apple, a yellow banana, and green grass. Can anyone find something in the room that is blue? Let's have a look around. With the use of paint or colored paper, demonstrate how mixing colors creates new colors. Look at this magic. If we mix red and yellow, what do you think we'll get? Let's try it. Show them the result. Wow, it's orange. Isn't that amazing? Ask the children how different colors make them feel. For example, does yellow feel happy? Does blue feel calm? Let's share our thoughts. Invite the children to draw or paint something using their favorite colors. Encourage them to show how each color makes them feel. What will you create today? Maybe a happy sunshine or a calm blue ocean? Let your imagination fly. Once the activities are complete, gather the children to share their artwork. Display the paintings or drawings around the room so everyone can admire each other's creativity. You've all created such fantastic works of art. Look at how different our world looks with all these beautiful colors. Well done, everyone. Leave the children with an inspiring thought. Remember, wherever you go, you can bring magic to the world with just a splash of color. Color your dreams and let them shine bright.
Long ago, in the rustic town of Milan, Ohio, a genius was in the making, but not exactly the way you'd expect. Meet Thomas Alva Edison, a curious lad whose passion for dismantling clocks might lead one to believe he was actually inspecting them for spare parts. School wasn't exactly impressed with his creative explorations. The childhood conundrum young Edison's school days weren't filled with gold stars and adoring teachers. One fateful afternoon, he returned home with a letter clutched tightly in his hand. "Mother," he declared solemnly, "my teacher gave me a note to give you. Only you must read it." Mrs. Edison, ever the supportive parent, opened the letter, her eyes tearing up slightly. She turned to Edison, smiling with all the warmth of a loving mother, and said, "Your teacher says you are a genius, and this school's teachers aren't fit to educate someone as brilliant as you. Please educate him at home." And educate him, she did. Under his mother's nurturing, Edison was free to tinker with whatever he desired, as long as he cleaned up after the ensuing chaos. Years passed, and Edison stumbled upon that very letter in a dusty attic. Curious, he unfolded it, but the words leapt off the page. "Your son is addled. We cannot have him at our school anymore." Tears welled in Edison's eyes, not of sorrow but gratitude. An addled child became the world's greatest inventor, all because of a magnificent mother. The road of ridicule and resilience Edison's path was littered with more failures than light bulbs in use at the time. Ever the humorous pessimist, he once quipped, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." People laughed, and Edison inevitably joined them between experiments. His persistence bore fruit in the form of a glowing bulb, which only required a few thousand attempts and a robust sense of humor. With over 1,000 patents to his name, Edison lit up the world with the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and, most famously, the light bulb. His approach of relentless trial and mostly error proved that with hard work and a lack of sanity, anything is possible. Lessons learned: 1. Never surrender, even if you burn through the family fortune. 2. Maintain self-belief, particularly when everyone else is obliviously mocking you. 3. Transform giggles of derision into the laughter of achievement. 4. Embrace your inner mad scientist, the essence of every great inventor. Edison's story teaches us that a child dismissed as addled can, with perseverance and a dab of incandescent wit, quite literally change the world. No inventions were harmed in the making of this anecdote, though a few clocks are still unaccounted for.
One day, Emperor Akbar was strolling through his royal gardens with his trusted advisor, Birbal. The emperor was in a playful mood and decided to test Birbal's wisdom with a tricky question. Akbar said, "Birbal, tell me, how many crows are there in my kingdom?" Birbal, unfazed, smiled and replied, "Your Majesty, there are exactly 95,463 crows in your empire." Surprised, Akbar asked, "What if there are more?" Birbal responded, "Then some crows must have come from neighboring kingdoms to visit their relatives." Akbar chuckled and asked again, "And what if there are fewer?" Without hesitation, Birbal said, "Then some of your crows must have gone on a trip to other kingdoms." Amused by Birbal's clever answer, Akbar laughed heartily and said, "Only you, Birbal, could give such a witty reply." And once again, Birbal's quick thinking won the emperor's admiration. Moral: wisdom lies in answering wisely, not necessarily in knowing everything. Once upon a time, in a quaint village, there lived a farmer who owned a donkey named Bairu. This donkey had spent many years hauling loads in the farmer's fields, but now he was old and weary. One fateful day, Bairu accidentally tumbled into a dry well near the farm. The donkey started braying loudly, expressing his distress in its own special way. The farmer rushed over to the well and saw his dear donkey trapped inside. Gazing down into the deep well, he pondered for a while. After some contemplation, the farmer muttered to the villagers, "This old donkey isn't much of use anymore, and the well is dry too. Why not fill it up with soil?" The villagers nodded in agreement. They grabbed shovels and began throwing dirt into the well. As the soil started raining down upon Bairu, he initially panicked, but then had an epiphany. Every time a spadeful of dirt landed on him, Biro cleverly shook it off and stepped up on the accumulating soil. Gradually, with each layer he shook off, Biro ascended higher and higher. The villagers stood astounded. In no time at all, Biro reached the top of the well, and with a triumphant leap, he was out. Everyone was flabbergasted. The farmer felt embarrassed, but Biro wore a smile. Moral: shake off troubles and rise above them. That's life. Or, with wisdom and courage, even the greatest adversity can be overcome.
गुलाब खड़ा है, इसकी पंखुड़ियां रेगिस्तानी धूप में चमक रही हैं। कैक्टस चुपचाप पास ही खड़ा है। गुलाब चुपचाप अभिव्यक्ति के साथ कैक्टस का मजाक उड़ाता है। अथक धूप में रेगिस्तान तपता है। गर्मी की तीव्रता बहुत अधिक है। गुलाब की पंखुड़ियां मुरझा जाती हैं, उनके जीवंत रंग धूल में फीके पड़ जाते हैं। मैं गतिहीन खड़ा हूं, एक कैक्टस को घूर रहा हूं, जिसका मांस अभी भी जीवंत रूप से हरा है। गुलाब बेताब और प्यासा विनती करता है, कृपया क्या आप मुझे थोड़ा पानी दे सकते हैं? कैक्टस एक पल के विचार के बाद जवाब देता है, मैं तुम्हें पानी दूंगा। कैक्टस की उदारता से विनम्र होकर गुलाब ने व्यक्त किया, मुझे अपने व्यवहार के लिए खेद है। मौली हाथ में दूध की बाल्टी लिए अपने सपनों में खोई हुई बाजार की ओर चलती है। उसे एक मुर्गी दिखती है और वह दिवा स्वप्न देखने लगती है। मौली दूध छलकने की कहानी बताती है। उसके चेहरे पर निराशा छाई हुई है। मौली की मां जवाब देती है, तुम्हें अपने अंडे से बच्चे निकलने से पहले उन्हें नहीं गिनना चाहिए। मौली अपनी मां के ज्ञान को आत्मसात करती है। उसकी चेहरे पर समझ की एक झलक दिखाई देती है। मौली एक खाली बाल्टी पकड़े हुए बाजार में चुपचाप खड़ी है। मैं विचारों में खोया हुआ हूं, जो हो सकता है उसके सपनों में बह रहा हूं। मुझे दिवा स्वप्न देखना बंद करना होगा और काम शुरू करना होगा।